Alright, so here's the knife all finished up, and there were some issues or mistakes, or what I consider mistakes, but I'll get to that in just a moment. But here is the scale, which I think turned out really good. And as you guys saw in the video, I did put some tung oil, and it really makes those colors pop, but it just wasn't speaking to me. So I decided to put a 180 grit rough finish, and I think it just looks a lot better. And one of the challenges to this scale was actually doing this beveled concave groove that goes up the side of, or the top of the scale. And I'll show you guys on the original. So you guys can see right here. This was the most challenging, and that's only because it has that concave area. I think that's the right term. But all I did was I took some copper pipe, or a really small copper tube or pipe. I put some sandpaper around it, and I just kind of drug it in there and matched it as best as I could to the original. And I'm going to have to do a video on how I locate the stop pin hole. That way you can have a properly functioning knife, but I will definitely do a video on that for you guys. And also on the original scale, there was this, I guess I'm going to call it micro beveling, but just very small beveling. So there's the scale. And I also made a custom pocket clip out of the G-Carta. And since G-Carta is very soft and malleable, especially when you get super thin, I used black G10 to make the pocket clip, which surprisingly G10 works really well for pocket clips. So I basically made a rough shape of the pocket clip, and then I took a very thin piece of G-Carta, and then I just glued it on there with some epoxy, shaped it, and as you guys can see, it turned out really well, and it functions beautifully. And once I have the knife all put together, I'll show you guys. I actually had to put a little bevel here, and I'll tell you why once it's assembled. There's that. And then I also created two little pivot collars, which were a pain to make, and I learned that I had to use a 1/32 bit on the CNC and go really slow, since the bigger bits really chewed up the G-Carta. But again, really happy with these. And I was only going to do one for the pocket clip side, but just ended up making two since I had enough material. And one of the mistakes that I had was the blade. So originally I was going to etch it in stonewash, which I did, but I am not happy with the outcome. As you can see some of the lines in there that are going horizontal against the really awesome grain. Now I've etched and stonewashed deep satin finishes, and it looks really good. You can still see the satin finish, but you get that etched stonewash finish. Again, I'm gonna have to see what I can do to fix this. Although I do like how the top finished. It's kind of a darker to a faded stonewash finish. It'd be nice if the whole knife was like that, but I will keep you guys posted on how this turns out once I redo it. And then I also gave everything else a stonewash finish, as you guys can see right here. And not too happy about this either, but I will figure something out. I might have to get in contact with Richie and Lindy Lou from Knife Modders. Maybe they can help me out, or just help me figure something out. When I was using that wood cutting bit to create the shape of the scale, the show side scale, the bearing, I forgot to put tape on the bearing to protect the titanium. As you guys can see, there's a line there. Again, I'll have to figure something out, but those are really the only mistakes that I had with this, and they are fixable. It's unfortunate that they happened. But enough talking about it. Let's put this thing together and see what it looks like. So here it is all assembled, and I could not be happier with the outcome. I think it just looks really good. Here is the pocket clip side with the pivot collar. And originally I was only going to do one pivot collar and then have the original TI on here, but I do like the contrast against the same material. I think it looks really good. And I didn't care to line up the pivot collars. I kind of like that they're not straight like the pocket clip or the show side scale. So again, just good contrast. And again, I really like that rougher finish on the G-Carta. I think it just matches the knife since it is a little bit more rough. And I did put that stone wash on it. But let's check it out opened up. And this thing still has its great action. Again, I love the Production STRIX. It's awesome. And I believe Greg is doing another drop. I'll leave a link down below where you guys can pick one of the pre-orders up. I know I will. So I think it lasts a week. So I'll leave the link down below. But here it is opened up. Just looks really, really good. Again, you have that contrast. And I wish the edge would have came out better, but I will be fixing that issue. And then I did create that finger access down here, just like the original. See if I can pick that up on camera. So I beveled it just there. And easy access with the thumb to disengage the frame lock or the lock bar. And then wanted to point out that beveled edge that I had to do on the back end of that pocket clip, as you can see right there. The cutout for the original pocket clip was very close to the edge of the scale here, so I had to go hang it over the scale, and then I created that bevel just to give it a better look and flow to it, and it doesn't poke you in the hand. Again, a very small detail, but I did have to do it because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do that. And then I also created just that little curve where this beveled edge is here in the back to match on that pocket clip. Again, not really noticeable to, somebody who's just checking out the knife, but again, these are the little things that I notice. And really quick, just wanted to mention that I did, if you guys haven't noticed already, I did back the G-Carta with a 1/16 inch black G10 material, just to give the G-Carta strength, because G-Carta is more on the softer side. So again, that is why I like to add the G10 for that strength. Another thing that was a bit of a challenge, as you guys can see, the scale actually slants downward. So I had to put the bottom of the pocket clip at a slant too, just so it functions properly and it has that tight gap, so it doesn't look weird. But again, happy with the pocket clip. Tension works great in pocket. And that's pretty much it for the Production STRIX with the custom scale, G-Carta scale, pivot collars, and pocket clip. As always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you guys on the next one.